Good evening. Welcome to the September 10th, 2018 Board of Directors meeting of the Sewer Authority Midcoastside. The meeting is called to order. May we have a roll call, please?
Director Reddick.
Here.
Director Slater-Carter.
Present.
Director Warren.
Present.
Chair Blanchard.
Here.
Director Penrose.
Here.
And Director Boyd.
Okay. So now we have item, any public comment? Nobody here to public
I
comment?
don't think so.
So then we go into closed session, which would be then 3A and B. Okay?
Okay.
You're going to closed session.
Who are we gonna have on A?
We are going
Bob?
to have, the attorney will be calling in.
Yeah,
Okay.
you know, Carl is not here, but his assistant. Okay, welcome back. We have reconvened out of the open session and the closed session, and we have nothing to report from our closed session for the attorney we had working with us. Now we're on item 5, and do we have any public comment? Okay, so now we go to item 6, the consent agenda, and we have several items. A, approved minutes of August 27th, 2018 meeting. B, approved disbursements of September 10th, 2018 meeting. C, confirm cancellation of the regular SAM board meetings on October 8th, November 26th, and December 24th due to conflicts and observed holidays. Then we have D, authorized general manager to execute a contract with Peninsula Pulp and Equipment.
I have a question.
Sure.
On the meeting dates, I may or may not be confused, but I think that the text memo doesn't exactly match the strikeout dates. I think the text memo says no meeting on November 26th, and I'm looking for the chart.
Oh, yeah, on the chart it says November 12th and then November 26th.
Oh.
So the chart
Oh.
is wrong?
The chart is wrong. Originally, it's up to the board. Originally, there are 2 holidays that are affected.
Thursday.
November 12th is because of Veterans Day, and November 26th is because of Thanksgiving.
Right.
But then I would have no meetings in November, so if there's a preference,
Is Veterans Day a national legal holiday where banks are closed?
yes.
Okay, then there's a problem. We're gonna have to reschedule because California law prohibits government agencies from doing business on national holidays.
It's at the board's discretion. I know that trying to have a meeting during the week of Thanksgiving or immediately following becomes difficult because a lot of people travel.
All right, why don't we pull this off of consent and do the rest of consent and come back to this?
Okay, I'm fine with that.
I have a comment to make about minutes. I'm confused about how our minutes are done. Sometimes we have in the minutes a discussion of what went on at the meeting. I wasn't here for the last meeting, so I watched it on the video, and as I'm sure you all remember, it was quite a
Intro.
lively meeting, right, and there was a lot of discussion, and there's nothing about that in our minutes. And I don't understand why sometimes we get that input in the minutes and sometimes we don't.
Generally, our minutes are action minutes, so unless direction is given or it's
Not always
kind of
that
hard.
way.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to figure out exactly what to include, because if you include any commentary, you basically have to include all the commentary. And because we have the video, we generally try to keep it to just a discussion ensue,
Yeah,
unless there was a
except that
particular.
doesn't always happen.
Well, no,
And that's my point is this. I would like the board to come up with a policy on what should be included in the minutes. Because I think it's very difficult from your point of view, as you said, to know what to put in the minutes. And I think it's our job to decide what should be in the minutes. So at some point in the future, we need to discuss that.
I support that.
That's all. I'm not complaining, I just
Yeah, no, it's,
No.
think we need to clarify the
We
issue.
want some consistency.
Yeah, I'll have a suggestion at that time. We'll
Great,
get on the agenda soon enough.
good.
Okay, so now, so now we go back to D, authorize general manager to get a contract with Peninsula Pumping Equipment for a routine pump inspection and repair services in not to exceed $500,000 a fiscal year.
Wait,
50,000.
$50,000.
sorry,
$50,000.
50,000, yes.
Yeah, that's 50, sorry,
Yeah.
that's me. Okay, fiscal year 2018-19.
I think there's a discrepancy in one of these two, 6E or 6F. I didn't mark it, now I've lost it, but I think one of them said a different dollar amount in the subject line than it did in the body of the memo.
Yes,
Well,
both of them did.
Both of them?
Well, when I get to that, just a
So-
moment.
It says not to exceed 50, and then it says up to 75,000.
That's
Oh, my
6D.
apologies.
6E looks okay.
6E
Okay,
says
just
50
since-
and 50.
Can we just get through what we're gonna pull? So I'd like to
Yeah.
pull 6E for some questions.
Okay,
6E?
Yeah.
E.
And
Okay.
we've already,
Reason,
And let's just pull 6F for clarification.
and we've already
And
held,
D needs to have some consistency.
and we've already held
Is it 50 or
6C.
75?
Okay, C, D, E, F, I tried.
Okay,
And
there we go.
then G.
So
Did you want to pull G?
I can't see any reason to.
Okay,
I
so
would
I
like
have
to-
A, B, and G.
move approval of items A, B, and G.
Second.
Okay. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
I,
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Warren,
Okay, so go back.
and then unanimous. Okay,
So go back to,
so 6C, which is the board meetings. So, yeah, November, there's unfortunately the proximity to two different holidays makes it a little challenging. The 12th of November is actually the observance of Veterans Day. And 2 weeks later is the Monday following the Thanksgiving holiday weekend. And so usually that's typically difficult to get because I know a lot of people travel. But if the board would prefer to just cancel the 12th and as it was on the original description and leave the 26th, I don't have a problem with that, I just wanna make sure.
The 24th.
It's the 26th.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong month.
The 26th, so if the November 26th meeting, as it was shown in the original scheduling, that's fine. I just didn't know what commitments the directors might have for travel and other things.
I have no commitments.
I will be out of town.
On that Monday?
But then if we, as long as we have an
I
alternate, we're,
I prefer, but I prefer the 12th.
But
I
if
don't
it-
have
but
any
if-
problem
but
with
if
the
it's a
12th,
legal
but if it's a
holiday-
legal holiday, then it's not fair to
So-
stay.
it's
Well,
an observed holiday.
No, the federal holidays, which we are bound to not meet on under state law, October 8th, November 12th,
It is on
November
that.
22nd.
So it's a legal holiday,
Yep,
Yeah.
so then
So
we
we
will do
can't
the
have it on the
26th.
okay?
I'm okay with it on the 26th.
Okay,
Wait. So, okay, I see what you're saying. So the proposal is, okay, we've got the October 8th meeting here, we need to resolve that. If we're gonna have it, it cannot be on that day.
Actually, my calendar, I don't know where this comes from, but it says Columbus Day Regional. I'm not convinced that that's a national holiday.
Well, let's
it's
see,
listed.
US Congress, let me go to the US Congress, how about that?
Well-
I tried to research that quickly this afternoon.
Well, and October 8th, we could do October 8th, November 12th, and December 24th, which still leaves us with one meeting per month to allow business to occur.
That Monday is, what is, oh, that's October.
Yeah, October 8th is the pumpkin way off day. But that affects my staff, that, I'm still gonna be here, so it's,
And I couldn't find any evidence that in Half Moon Bay or San Mateo County or the state of California that that's actually known as Indigenous Peoples' Day.
October 8th, according to OPM, is a federal holiday.
so we
I
cannot
think we
be,
can dispense with whether or not it's a federal holiday. It's a federal holiday, OPM
Yep.
says.
it
Okay.
is,
Okay.
OPM is, what?
Office
Other
of
people's
Personnel
money?
Management,
yes,
that too,
Personnel management or
Mhm.
personal?
personnel.
personnel.
Okay.
So that would mean, we
They're the
will
ones
most
that have the personnel
definitely,
records stolen.
we will most definitely cancel the October 8th and the November 12th, and then I'm assuming there is acceptance to cancel the December 24th
Yes,
meeting. Okay,
so we're going to be having the October 20, what is it?
the November
26th.
26th.
October 22nd is a SAM board meeting, but not the 8th.
Right.
Right, and November 26th is a SAM board meeting, but not the 12th.
Right,
And
All right.
December 10th, but not the 24th.
Okay,
Right.
I'm sorry, so I just wanna write this down, this is gonna be really confusing if I don't.
isn't this what we had before?
Oh, I'm actually just gonna delete it from my calendar right now.
Yeah, it's the way it was in the
Nothing's
calendar.
changed on my
Okay,
calendar.
so October 8th is struck out on this table, October
Right.
22nd stays,
Mhm,
November 12th is struck out,
correct.
Yes,
November 26th stays,
Mhm,
and then December 10th stays.
yes,
Okay,
yeah,
so the table as shown
Was
is
correct.
where we land.
yes.
right.
Alright,
Okay.
Okay, as shown on table, okay.
And as long as we're discussing this, well, under general manager's report, let's talk about the strategic plan dates.
Yes. Yes. Okay, so, I need a motion and
We had a motion and it was unanimous. Oh, for that one.
for that one.
So moved.
Second.
Okay,
So, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay.
okay. Okay, so then the next one is D, which is the Peninsula Pump. I apologize for the typo. It is 50,000 is what we are requesting.
so just a couple of quick questions. Okay, so the 20 pumps are all SAM pumps. Are these like in-plant pumps? plus some
Plant
others?
and the 3 pump stations.
Okay. And then I understand that you had a conversation with our general manager today. I just want to affirm that we're planning to stay in good communication about when people are in our area. I imagine others would want to know as well, but
Mhm.
just wanted to express
Well, as far as
our
the,
interest in making sure that
yes.
when people are working on equipment in our district that we
Yeah.
know.
And with Peninsula Pump or any of the other vendors that we have working on the member agency equipment, we have to get authorization beforehand anyway.
Okay.
Except for under extreme emergencies, but
Yeah, sure.
And so the correct not to exceed amount is the one in the subject line?
The 50,000.
the subject line
Okay.
and the staff recommendation line are the same. It
And
was
the-
just the executive summary that was incorrect.
The 50,000 was based on what we used last year,
What we anticipate needing this year.
is it less than what we
Yes.
spent last year?
Yeah, we had some,
Because Half Moon Bay won't be part of this,
well, no,
Right.
this has nothing to do with the collection system. This is just SAM facilities. This is just the pumps that SAM owns.
okay?
And so we believe this is sufficient to cover the work on what SAM owns. If additional resources are needed to expend on the member agency collection system, then I would come back and report that.
I thought that
Right,
was
my
announced
concern
after.
that I was voicing was about just, we've got people doing work on facilities in our district and we get phone calls and our staff needs to be aware so they can answer the questions when,
And we have been informing them, so. Yeah, like I said, when it comes to actually working on the facilities, we have to get permission first anyway because we can't expend money on behalf of the member agencies without authority.
In the staff memo, could that light be turned off?
Sure.
It
Is this on-
it says the New England Interstate Water Pollution Control Commission Northeast Guide for estimating staffing at public and privately owned wastewater treatment plants indicates Sam's 20 pumps would require 5,000 man-hours per year to maintain properly. This equates to 1.5 FTE maintenance hours.
Yes,
2,080 working hours in a year.
take out time for holidays, vacations, sick leave, and training time,
Okay.
because those are non-productive hours, and I'm sorry, my staff has to do approximately 8 hours of training every month, just to meet all of the safety requirements.
I'd like to move approval of this item.
Second.
Quick question, so this would involve the IPS?
Right, the 3 pump stations.
Plus the 17 here in the plan.
We'll approve it, under protest.
Okay, I had Boyd as making the motion, who seconded, Slater Carter? Oh, thanks. Okay.
Any more discussion? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
I say aye under,
Right,
halfway
halfway.
under protest.
And I'll make sure that ends up in the minutes.
Please.
Thank you, me
Yeah.
too.
Under protest. Okay. 6E, basically, this is specifically as needed. We generally use Presidio for any of the cleaning that needs to be done on the highway because of a safety issue. However, that would be below the $30,000 that I could authorize. However, if for some reason we ended up needing additional assistance because we are a staff person down, this would allow us to stay on target and schedule. And in response to questions from the Montero manager, we always notify, and we started doing this a year and a half ago, always notifying the member agencies of where we're cleaning, and certainly if it's going to be somebody other than us, so that they know that they're there. We've been doing that for quite some time, but we will continue to do that. My hope is that we don't need to do that, but I wouldn't wanna have to hold up or get behind on scheduling in order to come back to the board to request it if for some reason somebody had an illness or injury or something else that prevented us from staying on target.
How does the 50,000 compare to the money not spent because of the vacancy?
Well, the money
What's the fully
spent,
loaded cost for the vacancy?
oh, considerably more than $50,000.
Okay.
So I move to approve this item.
Second. Leonard can have it.
See, I heard his voice loudest, but, okay.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed?
Okay, and then F,
Okay.
were there any concerns regarding F other than just, I didn't see any typos or anything, but this
No, I
one,
think we passed, didn't we pass F?
no, A, B, and G.
I had
Yeah.
heard that there was some question about the number in the attachment. If there is none, then I'll make a motion to approve it.
I don't
I'll
see it.
second.
I don't see an attachment.
There are no supporting documents to this one.
No, it says there's an attachment on there.
It does, there aren't.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so I had Slater Carter making the motion, who seconded?
Penrose.
Oh, Penrose, okay, thank you.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Woo-hoo,
Okay.
that was quick.
There you go.
Yeah. And then
Very
Joe
good.
passed. Okay, thank you very
Okay.
much.
Thank you very much. Okay, so now we go to item 7A.
Yes,
And review and approve the proposed utility worker job description pay range and amend the bi-weekly wage schedule for fiscal year 18-19.
yes, as discussed several times during the budget process, the request was to have a utility worker job description created as a sort of entry level into the maintenance, if somebody wanted to use it as that, but otherwise it would be a great opportunity for someone who didn't have to have the skill requirements and certification requirements for the maintenance classifications. And it would also give Sam another set of hands to use, because oftentimes that's what we need, is just another set of hands. It doesn't necessarily have to be a trained and skilled set of hands. And it gives us a little more flexibility in using a lower qualification position to do some of the tasks that currently are being performed by certificated and higher qualified staff.
Okay.
The only thing I noticed on this was that the operator in training has the same salary range.
Yes,
And that somehow seems to me that ought to be a higher pay range than somebody who is not being trained for anything.
well, the operating training comes in with, there's no requirement other than,
But they're there to learn and to grow.
correct, and then when they do, they move into operator 1, 2, and 3. So there's an
Right.
expectation that they have to pass, but then the compensation goes up with that. Whereas this position, there's no direct connection between utility worker and maintenance.
No, I know, I understand that. It's just when you hire somebody that you hope will move into a higher classification in the future, that's the idea, or you wouldn't be training them in the first place. It would seem to me that you offer a higher salary, and maybe I'm wrong, I'm just saying it seemed to me that the salary should be higher than for somebody who just comes in, who's going to work here for a while and just be an extra set of hands.
Well, there's still some expectations that the utility worker is going to do maintenance work. It's just, there is no requirement for them to become certified as a maintenance worker, whereas OIT, you have 2 years to complete, and if you don't complete, you're gone. Whereas the utility worker, you could be totally happy never going out and getting a certification, but there's still some expectation that you are learning a skill. It's just not at the level of a certification. Operator in training does not require anything until they've gotten to 2 years.
If I could add that it appears that those are just basic starting wages for moving into SAM without skills.
Both of those, yes.
Yes.
Because they do not
And
require.
that's the way it is set,
Mhm.
is to be able to make it clear that in both cases, frankly, you're expected to pass your certifications, but that's basically your minimum wage for SAM.
Those two positions having equal compensation makes sense to me.
Yeah, me too.
That's fine,
Right.
I wanted to
Yeah.
discuss it, that's all.
Okay.
Not objecting, just.
Okay. Are there any other questions or concerns regarding?
So moved.
Second.
Any more discussion?
And I'm still thinking about increasing the staff here. What's the fully loaded annual cost at each end of the pay scale? What's the overhead, like 40%?
No, not on this position. It's less than that. It's in, closer to 30%, maybe even slightly less, because it really depends on their full family and, all of that. But, the likelihood is you're talking about someone that's a PEPRA employee, so their rate for the retirement is the difference between approximately 32% and 6 3/4. So that's where your big difference is.
If I could add, Leonard, we need people here because, as has been mentioned in the past, the average age, staff don't pay attention to this, is about 100 years old. And they're gonna be retiring someday when their indentured servitude runs out. And we need to have new trainees. We need to have people moving in. We don't need to have so many people on call. That is particularly during the terrible weather times, it's really hard on crew. So I'm prepared to make them, I think we need to do this. I've made the motion and I would ask everyone to vote for it. Because I think in the long run, Sam will benefit from having trainees in position. Otherwise, you pay a whole lot more to get somebody with experience, and they're not gonna stay as long, and they're not as likely to be a member of our community.
Well, let me just put the numbers on the record, assuming the 30% overhead, and assuming that I've done everything else correctly, it ranges from, 74K plus at the first step to, a hair shy of 89K at the top step.
Do you know what the poverty wage is for a family of 4 in the Bay Area?
Well, in San Francisco, if you have a family income of 140,000 for a family of 4, you're eligible for affordable housing.
That's right. In
To answer your question.
in the Bay Area, it takes an income of over 214 or 40, I forgot the smaller number, over 200,000 to be able to buy a house. So I think this is well within the range of acceptable wages to be able to hire someone.
And of
Yeah,
course, the hope is that this is someone who is interested enough to potentially make a career in wastewater. But if not, it's definitely, they'll learn a skill and they will continue with us, and it's going to be someone that we can assign some of the tasks that we're currently assigning to our more technically trained maintenance workers. There's really no reason that somebody at that level is needed when it's really the types of projects we would put them on. I mean, if we're gonna have them paint and do beautification at Portola, that doesn't take someone who's a certified maintenance technician.
So how much is currently contracted out, that would be taken over by the utility worker? Landscaping?
Landscaping and janitorial, it's not a huge amount, but it's really to do things that we haven't got to. Things like just the upkeep of the facilities and the way that they're maintained in appearance would be nice to do. Generally, by the time our maintenance technicians are dealing with sort of the urgent and critical issues, there's no time left, and we generally don't contract those out. They just don't ever get done.
Can we stop paying SINCOM $50 to $150 to restock the supply cabinet?
Well, that's another discussion, but yes, I mean, part of what this person's responsibility is really to pick up on the things that we just never get to.
I'm all for it.
Yeah, and I think, Leonard, a lot of times, my experience is having SINCOM do something shows that it's been done, and you have a record. It's a legal defense when you need to prove that actually had been stocked the way it was supposed to, as opposed to having your guy do it, and then somebody says, oh, he never did it right, and it's.
You have a little sheet in there where they sign off and date it.
Right.
Yeah, have you been in a lot of bathrooms where somebody signed off and dated it and there was no reality there? I believe that.
Alright, I will
So,
reluctantly go.
Are we
for the-
ready?
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I had the motion and the second, so.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, anybody opposed?
Grumble, grumble, aye.
Okay, there we go, okay. So now we have 7B, thank you. And updated repairs to dedicated water line for fire protection.
This was in your packet last
Right.
time as well, we just had run out of time. Basically, Tim was not able to be here, he's down at Palm Springs with the Lucidity software, getting very detailed operating instructions on that software, which is our new maintenance software. And he just wanted to make sure that the board was able to see what we were dealing with. We have been able to resolve the issue, but it doesn't resolve the overall issue, which is that line is way too close to those homes.
No, the homes are way too close to our line.
Your peanut butter's in my chocolate, and your chocolate's in my
Well,
peanut butter, but it
except the
is,
peanut butter was there before the chocolate.
that is true.
And there's literally nothing we can do about it.
There, and that's what I'm dealing with at the
So-
time is,
I mean,
it's,
we could spend a fortune and reroute the line, but
We could,
Yeah.
but we're
Or not.
not going to,
Yeah.
so,
well, there has been numerous requests from CCWD that we consider doing that, because the age of this line, there will be more of this type of, problem, and
was
it's,
that like 45 years old, that line?
at least.
Could you find out and let us know later, who paid for the installation of the line? And whether it was turned over and owned by CCWD, because if we own it, then we have to fix it and we may as well route it somewhere else. But if it's anything like GCSD and I think MWSD, once it's built to serve somebody, it's then inspected by the sewer or water agency and accepted into the system, and they have to maintain it from then on. So if it needs to be replaced and they own it, that's their problem to replace it.
We own it, it's on our side of the meter,
That's a problem.
yes,
That's a problem. So
Yes.
when it comes time to replace it, we might as well replace it down next to the access road.
well, and part of the
Pardon me,
issue.
private driveway,
The,
that's not a
yes,
road.
Bev Cunha. Part of the problem is that not only does it go very close to where the homes were built after, it also comes through some very sensitive, habitat. And should it fail, my understanding is it goes through the watershed and also through some of the, this parcel over here. And we would have to do, an environmental analysis on that. But in an emergency, I mean, my fear was that when they noticed that there was clearly a leak, because there should have been no use on that line and we've been paying for it, so clearly there is water leaking. I was afraid it was going to be in the habitat or the creek, which would have been very difficult to get to.
So how much time does this fix buy us?
That, I don't know. We weren't able to run the line and see if anywhere else, but we do know, at least for right now, that the meter is not showing any water use, so that's a good thing. I cannot ensure that that will always continue, because obviously the line is the same age, but we will be getting an analysis of the cost and potential impact. And I do know that CCWD made sure that there's a connection at the end of the road, so that should we decide to do that, it's easy for us to tap into that. With the idea that that would be preferable to everyone in the long run. So that wouldn't be in this year's capital projects, but certainly we will get a quote and present it to the board as part of the 20-year CIP on sooner rather than later.
The people from MWSD would know this a lot better, but I think the cost per foot of a line like that is probably $150 a foot.
Unimpeded, if you're going through habitat, it's gonna
Well,
cost more.
if it was to be run down next to the
Oh, down-
driveway.
Yeah, down the road
You could probably do
instead.
150.
Yeah.
Especially on a straight shot like that.
One
Yeah.
thing I can tell you for a fact, the cost per foot never goes down, it only
Yeah.
keeps going up. The
Well-
sooner we get it done,
So, one thing, you might wanna connect up with CCWD and figure out a way at some point in the future, you know, the next couple of years to piggyback on some work that they might be doing and pay their contractors, so it doesn't cost us really anything for mobilization.
Well, I believe that line that runs along the frontage road here was done relatively recently, and that's where they put that in, with the hopes that we would take advantage of it back then, but we didn't. And so but they left a connection for us so that if and when we got to this point, we would be able to do so with very little impact.
But what I'm saying is if they,
Mhm.
you know, have a contractor doing
Yes,
similar pipe size work
yes.
somewhere nearby, then you know maybe Sam could arrange to piggyback onto that.
Yes, and certainly that would be something we would wanna partner with them if we had that opportunity.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
So now we have 8, general manager report.
So, the Board Operations Committee met today to talk about, the strategic plan workshop and sort of how we wanted to go through that process this year, keeping in mind that that process is sort of the kickoff to the budget process. I understand there's a conflict, I'd had it on the upcoming things for some time now, is keeping in mind that we wouldn't have a meeting on October 8th, that maybe we would use that Saturday as the strategic plan workshop, but I understand there's a conflict for two of the members, the representatives, and that it's more beneficial if we have the regular representatives here rather than alternates for that strategic plan discussion. So right now, the request is to postpone it until November 10th. And I do know that Director Reddick had responded to the doodle poll and had indicated that that would not work, but that the November 17th would work.
I could make the 10th work, I think
Okay.
17th is more optimum for me, but
And that we would do this, that we would have Martin Roush facilitate it, and that we would have a 4-hour meeting, 2 hours for the board, and then we'd break for lunch and have the managers attend in the second 2 hour to get their input, the member agency managers. That was the recommendation from the Board Ops Committee.
Now, and as a member of the Board Ops Committee, one of the things we did discuss was the managers have been saying they wanted to start the budget process much earlier this year. And, it appears that the Finance Committee wants a strategic plan to happen before the Finance Committee meeting, which would start the budget process, so we're getting started late and finishing up late in November and not able to start the budget discussions with the managers until December.
Well, no, there's still 2 weeks, or actually 3 weeks after the strategic plan workshop. So if we met on the 10th and then the finance committee met on the 17th, that gives
But then there's the
1.5
holidays.
week, well, yeah, but then there's the week following that.
Let me throw another wrinkle into this. I'm off this board at noon on Friday, December 7th.
The world will not end.
Well, it means that we need to look at Bernada's election results and try and guess who's gonna be the SAM reps at that point and have somebody here in addition to me.
Well, I would believe that anybody who's interested in being here could attend and sit in the audience.
Yeah,
It's a publicly noticed
that
meeting.
would be quite a wrinkle.
I would hope that anybody that would be running
Or
and-
elected.
or elected, or at that point would know at least a good shot at knowing that there'll be, the election would be confirmed and that they would be on the board, would attend. But clearly that's each agency's board to determine,
So-
but
we're leaning on November 17th.
well, and I was only going based on Director Reddick indicating in the
I can make it
poll.
work on the 10th.
Okay. So
Good,
then
thank you.
we would have the November 10th as the workshop, more than likely like 10 to 2. And,
Probably 10 to 3 if we're gonna break for lunch.
well, I thought we might have a
A working
working,
lunch.
yeah. But I mean, we could expand it if that's what you think is
Saturday
needed.
of a 3-day weekend for other staff.
Ah,
That
Good
may not
point.
be the best.
so the following Monday, it's a 3-day weekend.
Mhm. Was
On the
it, my
10th is
my
a
choice
3-day
was not
weekend?
that day.
That's
Staff,
Saturday of a
staff will
3-day
not wanna
weekend.
participate if if it's their 3-day weekend.
My staff participate no matter when it is, so,
I'm talking about,
no, I'm just saying,
yeah.
my staff have participated no matter when it fell. So, so if we do the November the 17th as the,
That's more ideal for everybody.
workshop, and then the following weekend for the,
Finance.
that would not work for the finance because that's Thanksgiving weekend, and
Yeah.
so then it would be
Well,
the
I could meet in
first,
an evening during the week.
I don't know the other two.
I'm just throwing it out
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
but
no, the other two,
I'll make myself have a lot.
directors, that might be a push.
Who else is on finance?
Director Warren and Director Boyd. I
Would you
just
be willing
generally
to do
plan
it at
for
night?
Saturdays.
I'd sort of rather not.
I've been known to make the occasional night meeting.
Well, we're not gonna have Sam that week, you know, that, so you get out of one Sam meeting, you could think of it as another Sam meeting.
I've been trying to get us back to one a month.
Yeah.
Not really looking
Well,
for excuses.
We
to-
we have a meeting this this Saturday for the finance committee, so we can discuss, scheduling for it then.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good idea.
That's a
And
good
then
idea.
we'll, I'll confirm, I did send out a tentative, schedule for the member managers to meet to start talking about the budget, but I can always, adjust that if I can scoot it up some, I'm sure everyone would appreciate that.
I mean, you could get going on it.
Okay, so the budget workshop is on November 17th, 10 to 2.
No, that's the strategic plan,
Oh, okay, strategic plan workshop.
yes, and that would be November 17th, 10 to 2 tentatively, and then I'm going to reach out to Martin to make sure he's available. I'm sure with this much advance notice, he can work with that.
Okay, so have we just agreed on anything else besides that one?
No.
No,
Alright,
After that, I'll work with the finance committee, this Saturday to schedule the next committee meeting. And then, and that, like I said, I will also check with Martin Roush to make sure he's available.
Thank
and
you.
after the finance committee meets, after the strategic plan workshop,
Mm-hmm.
the finance committee meets, did then the member agency managers meet on the budget?
Yes, and I will, that's,
Before we do our budget workshop,
yes, oh yeah, we don't do our budget workshop until March.
okay,
I might wanna think about February.
You know, part of that will depend upon who I have, on my board and, obviously, I might end up with two, because if I have new directors, then, it might be worthwhile to have two meetings to get them up and running, and so. I'm kind of leaving that open to waiting to see what my board looks like.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Anything else regarding, Pete?
I think we flogged that pretty well.
Yeah.
I think you did a good job.
Thank you, thank you very much.
thank you.
Okay. Since we have no attorneys, we're skipping 9. 10, director's reports.
Nothing to report here.
Okay. So we have 11 topics for future agendas.
Does anyone have anything to add that I need to be putting on there?
Silence.
No, okay.
Silence is golden.
Okay, all right,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
just
we
to
can-
point out,
Sure.
on the bottom, the upcoming meetings, I apologize for that, are September 24th and October 22nd.
Yes,
Sorry, I had to make sure I had the date right.
September 24th,
Right.
October, what?
22nd,
Okay,
since we're
Okay.
not going to be meeting on the 8th.
right. Okay, so we're done.
Adjourned.
The meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much for coming.